What's up, guys? Welcome to the Amplified SmackDown review for January 10th, 2020. As you can see, we are lit up in Green Bay green for this video and for this weekend. And that is, of course, in honor of my Green Bay Packers, who this Sunday night enter a huge game with the Seattle Seahawks in Lambeau Field, Green Bay, Wisconsin. Now, my Packers are 2 wins away from the Super Bowl. If we can win this Sunday, we then go on to next week's conference championship. And if we win that, we're talking the Super Bowl. So that's why this is an important couple of weeks starting right now. And that's why we are lit up in thermo green in support and in honor of my Green Bay Packers. So that's why you're seeing everything lit up in green right now. Now, before I get to the actual review, guys, for SmackDown, I do have to ask a question. It's a pretty big question. It's a pretty loaded question. And that question is, what happened to the WWE female roster? What happened to the female division? Because there was a time when we saw all this talent in there, like Sasha Banks and Ember Moon. You saw Naomi, you saw Asuka. You had all of these dream matches in your dome piece, right? You started to think of how many special things you could have inside that ring. But instead, the old man was as stubborn as ever. And instead, all he put out there, or at least what it seemed like, was his blonde bombshell brigade. Every single week, it was either Charlotte, Carmella, Alexa, Mandy, or all of them. And we know why. It's no secret, right? That's what Vince McMahon sees beauty in. Vince McMahon only sees beauty in his blondes, right? We know that from the history of Vince McMahon. I mean, he married Linda McMahon. You see Linda McMahon when she was younger, right? Vince McMahon's blonde bombshell. You see the storylines that Vince McMahon was in. When he was the character Mr. McMahon, he was in the storylines, those love storylines with gals like Tori Wilson, Sable. We've seen through his history, and here we are in 2020, and he is still throwing out nobody but his blonde bombshells, because that's who he sees beauty in. That's what he thinks is beautiful and what sells. That's what he thinks is going to pull in the ratings and the asses in seats. Forget the fact that asses are no longer showing up. Forget the fact that ratings are declining. Forget the fact that merchandise sales are down considerably. But he still feels the same philosophy that held up in 1975, 1985, 1995. He refuses to get with the times and realize that in 2020, minority females are making dudes' jaws drop. That minority females are worth more than just putting them up in some poster or in some promo advertisements so your company looks diverse. What we saw last night on SmackDown was a clear indication that even though it's 2020, the times have not changed for Vince McMahon. We've seen Lacey Evans standing tall above everybody else. Right into another segment with the big matchup of Alexa Bliss taking on Mandy Rose. And that was the whole female representation last night for Fox's SmackDown. Lacey Evans, Alexa Bliss, Mandy Rose. And Vince McMahon was having a field day. I'm sure Vince McMahon doesn't care at all that Naomi is out with personal issues or that Ember Moon is out with an injury. As long as he can use them in those big posters, in those big banners and all that advertisements to show that his company is diverse and he doesn't actually have to use them in the ring, he's happier than a pig in shit. Because that's what happened last night. Even when Bayley is setting up Lacey Evans somehow still is standing tall. And now Alexa Bliss is moseying down the rampway, and even though she's used every week and nobody knows why, right? Everybody else has to take months off because they don't even have anything for them. Before Asuka won any tag team championship, she was an irrelevancy. The only reason she won the tag team championship with Kyrie is because 4 days earlier, AEW put their championship on Rio. Trust me, I've done my research. Look at how Asuka was booked before Rio won that championship in AEW. Asuka was barely even used, and when she was used, she was misused and misutilized. She was placed in irrelevancy, but once Rio won that championship, shoot, we gotta get our Japan talent, Vince said. And that's what he did. He took Asuka, he took Kairi, and he gave them the tag team championships. Thank goodness for Rio. Thank goodness for AEW, because we wouldn't even be seeing Asuka and Kairi right now. And that is the absolute truth. You look at what Lacey Evans did last night. You look at Alexa Bliss coming down the ring being used every single week, even when they have nothing for her, but they make something for Alexa. And now she's even got pyro. That's right, Alexa Bliss has pyro. Can I ask you guys a serious question? Even Alexa Bliss fans, why does she get pyro? Her skill level, her talent level doesn't deserve pyro. What is she holding? What secret does she have that she gets everything handed to her? I'll tell you what it is. It's the fact that she's one of Vince's blonde bombshells. Thank goodness Liv Morgan came back as a blonde. I'm being serious. Because she's probably going to get thrusted right to the top. Now, at least we like Liv Morgan. We want to see good for her. But if you thought we were going to get another, like a demon side of Liv Morgan, what we were hoping for, a much more darker side, no, Vince made sure that she came back as a blonde. Carmella once had the world given to her, and you haven't seen the end of it either. Trust me. Carmella once held multiple championships for long reigns, even longer than Sasha Banks. And you're telling me you're okay with that? Just seeing Lacey Evans get set up by Bayley, and Bayley drops an awesome line last night. Now put on your mom jeans and go home. And Lacey Evans no-sells it and just beats the hell out of Bayley to the point where Bayley runs away, and it's Lacey that's being backed off. And then we go into a Mandy Rose and Alexa Bliss match. And I'm thinking, that's the women's division on SmackDown. It's just it's a blonde brigade. When we had females like a Naomi, like an Ember Moon, we had all of these females like Sasha Banks, who's still on that roster. She had to go away because she knew she was being misused. But when she came back, it's the same BS. Sasha Banks isn't getting anything. She's tagging along with Bayley just like they were in the Boston Hug connection. We were hoping it was going to be better when they turned heel, but it's no better at all. It's absolutely so frustrating. And on the Raw side, it ain't much better. You say Becky Lynch isn't blonde, BC. Yes, but she's Irish. The next best thing, Vince McMahon is Irish. He's going to protect his own, obviously. He saw how big Becky was getting at one point, so he's like, all right, no harm, no foul. But let's break down the facts. That's what I like to do. Becky Lynch has not defended her championship in 4 months, correct? I believe the last time Becky Lynch defended her championship, I'm talking TV, guys, forget house shows. I believe it was Hell in a Cell October 6th, correct? October 6th. That's October, November, December, and now we're in January. We're heading into the middle of January. So we are technically in the 4th month of Becky Lynch not even defending her championship on TV / pay-per-view. It's the same thing as Brock Lesnar. If we get on Brock Lesnar's ass for it, we got to get on Becky's. But no, nobody wants to say that because the company is obviously trying to protect Becky. And the fans, they honestly want to believe the BS that Vince McMahon is giving them, that Becky is the face of the company. Who is really believing that? When you see Becky Lynch come on your TV screen, are you honestly saying, I have to spend my money to go to that live event? Becky Lynch is coming to town. Who gives a shit? Lynch, she's coming to town live. Come on, man. Time and time again, guys, we just see this. I mean, it's 2020, and here we are on SmackDown on Fox. And we're seeing Lacey Evans, Alexa Bliss, Mandy Rose as your top-tier focal-pointed talent. Come on, man. And don't say injuries, BC, is why this has happened. No, because even when talents like Naomi or Ember Moon are there, they don't get anything. Sasha Banks is there right now. She left in 2019 because she was fed up with the way she was being misused. She comes back, has one big match at Hell in a Cell, Becky Lynch's last title defense, actually. And then after that, Sasha Banks is joint at the hip once again with Bayley. Nothing for Sasha Banks. One of the best talents in pro wrestling, not just WWE in the world. Nothing for her. So that shows you, what do you think's going to happen when Ember gets back and she's not injured anymore? Or back from her personal issues is Naomi. What do you guys think is going to happen? Honestly, what do you think's going to happen when Io Shirai gets to the main roster? Or Bianca Belair? Nothing! They're not blonde! Oh, shoot, man. Even females like Mia Yim and Dakota Kai. I mean, these are good talents. But even they're going to have a hard time. Again, if Becky Lynch wasn't Irish, I don't care how much fan reaction she was getting. I'm sure Vince McMahon would not have the title on her and be protecting her for this long. I've seen how the company works. You just look at the trajectory of Vince McMahon. Do your research on Vince with Linda McMahon. You know, and marrying Linda. And if you've seen Linda when she was younger, that's the stereotype of what Vince likes. And you see his storyline with Sable. You see his storyline with Tori Wilson. All blonde bombshells. You see where we are in 2020. Everybody that's getting the main focal point last night. You got to make sure Lacey Evans is standing tall. We got to make sure we're utilizing Alexa Bliss and Mandy Rose. You got an Otis and Mandy Rose storyline. I understand. I can think of a million ways to progress that. You don't have to have that be your focal pointed match. Again, if it was just last night, guys, that's one thing. But I've been seeing this blonde brigade for so long. And it's just, I could see if they had overwhelming talent, right? Like if they were all like a Charlotte Flair talent level, skill-wise, then maybe we can talk. But when you're telling me that Carmella has that many championship runs for that long of a reign, Carmella, and you're telling me Alexa Bliss had that many title reigns for that long, and you're telling me that Mandy Rose and Lacey Evans have that much TV time? I'm calling BS. I'm saying each one of them skill-wise are not going to compete with an Ember Moon or a Sasha Banks or even a Naomi, a Bianca Belair, a Mia Yim. It's not happening. But yet for Vince McMahon and in his world, it is happening, and it's BS. If you're not a blonde bombshell packing booty, you ain't getting that time. Anyway, that's my opening thoughts, guys. That's my little side rant. I'll move on with the review now. I just had to get that off my chest because as SmackDown went off the air again, as I said, I just had that thought, like, where was the female division? I mean, like that's who's representing the female division? Lacey, Alexa, and Mandy. At a time when we had so much talent there, and again, thank goodness that Rio won that AEW championship, or Asuka would be right back into irrelevancy. And I promise you, the second Rio loses that championship, bye-bye Asuka. Watch. Mark my words. All right, let's move on with the SmackDown review. What do you say? The Miz kicks off the show with Miz TV special guest John Morrison. Morrison is blaming the crowd for turning their backs on The Miz. In fact, he goes so far as to actually pinpoint individuals in the crowd. I love that. It's an extra layer to blaming not just the fan base, but literally picking them one by one. I love that. The New Day hears enough. They end up coming down to the ring, and Miz and Kofi go back and forth with one another on the mic. Now, I love this because Kofi, I feel, has found and has come into his own on that mic, and he's found his way. There's no stuttering. It's very clear. He's hitting his bullet points, and he's very believable on the mic. There's a very real believability when Kofi is speaking. And you can actually get invested because there's a sincerity behind what he is saying. And on the flip side, The Miz has always been great in those one-on-one situations on the mic. We've seen that on Talking Smack in a non-kayfabe way when he made Daniel Bryan leave the table because he was so upset. Miz is great in those situations. So after some low blows and some potty shots with one another, with Kofi and Miz, we end up going to commercial. When we come back, we get a matchup, Kofi versus Miz, for the 115th time. Now, even though we've seen Miz and Kofi 115 times, this was actually an enjoyable match. And it was such, aside from the fact that they gave them 15 minutes to do what they do best, but aside from that, it was the fact that they went full throttle and wrestled their asses off as if it was their first time in there together, not the 115th time. And that's what I love to see. When you can go in there and still have that one-upsmanship, when you can go out there and still perform like it's everybody's first time watching you guys in there. And that's what they did. They busted their asses and they went full throttle. So for those reasons, it was very enjoyable for me. The finish saw Big E and John Morrison coming to blows on the outside, and that distraction was enough for The Miz to hit skull-crushing finale on Kofi. So it really looks like they're going to pump up the dirt sheet, John Morrison and The Miz, and I'm okay with that. If that's going to give the tag team division a shot in the arm, I'm cool with that. The only caveat here is, the only asterisk, is that they better do it right. And with that company, we can never hold our breath. They're going to have to utilize Miz and Morrison the right way if you're going to make them a legit tag team and be the ones to take the straps from New Day. We'll see, but I'm on board with it because how else were you going to utilize Miz, right? You literally have him in his 500th face heel turn, so he's definitely in flux with his career. And then Morrison, we knew he was just going to come back like a Shelton Benjamin. Like, what is he really going to do? His highest achievements coming back may be like Rey Mysterio, a U.S. title reign for a couple of weeks. But it was going to be as mid-card as you can be, right? Even the crowd reaction showed you that. I feel he should have been brought back in the Royal Rumble. They decided to go that route. Either way, the reaction wasn't going to be through the roof. So what do you do with them? I'm okay with the Dirt Sheet reuniting and forming that tag team. I just want to see it done correctly. Next up, Elias is cutting another diss track in the middle of the ring. Half of it didn't even rhyme, but who cares? I was hanging on every line, seeing who he was going to diss next. My thing with Elias is I just wish they had more for him. I really wish that Elias... You know, The Miz told a story on Backstage this past Tuesday night on FS1. And Miz was talking about how he's had talks with Elias backstage, non-kayfabe, and Elias told him that I just wish I had more. They just have me going out with my guitar and doing my shtick. And he told Miz he wants more, and that's real. That's not like storyline. So that shows you that Elias wants more. They're not giving it to him. And that's good to hear because a lot of talent in there, in that company, we've heard their actual talent kind of spill the beans on other talent and say they're just there for a paycheck. They don't care how they're being used. But it's good to hear that Elias isn't one of them. Elias wants more. They're just not giving him more. So that's what's sad for me. Now, backstage, Mandy delivers an I'm sorry cake to Otis because we know what happened to the fruitcake a week or two ago. So as a sorry, she ends up getting or giving Otis a little cake. It says I'm sorry. It even has a little Tonka truck, edible fucking Tonka truck in the corner. You know, heavy machinery. Get it? I liked it. So you give him a little cake. I like that. Progress the story that way. But instead, when we come back from commercial, Mandy is in an actual match with Alexa Bliss. Now, here's a good one for you. Alexa Bliss actually has pyro. Can't make that up. They haven't given Sasha Banks pyro in her entire career, correct? They haven't given anybody else pyro that actually has skill level and talent, but Alexa Bliss, she gets the pyro. Now, don't be surprised if you see Carmella with pyro and Lacey Evans with pyro and Mandy Rose with pyro one day. Because Alexa Bliss comes to the ring with pyro. I ask a question. What skill-wise, what talent level has she achieved to get pyro? She's up there with Charlotte Flair now and getting pyro. If you don't see an issue with that, when Sasha Banks is coming down to the ring, she can barely get her music to play more than 5 seconds before Bayley's music is cutting it off. So Sasha can't even get her music playing. Alexa's getting pyro. Yeah, I have a big issue with that. Anyway, we get Mandy Rose and Alexa Bliss. Heavy machinery ends up coming out and costing Alexa the match. Alexa's like, wow, it's 2 men are up on the rampway. She's fixated on heavy machinery for some reason. Mandy Rose doesn't even give a shit. So Mandy's like, all right, if you're that easily distracted, I'm just going to roll you up. Lacey Evans takes the W. I'm sorry, Lacey Evans. They're all the fucking same to me. What's her name? Mandy Rose takes the W. God, thank goodness for my notes, man. I'll get all these blondes and I'll get their names correct. Won't have to go too far to talk about Lacey Evans because immediately after Alexa and Mandy was Lacey Evans. Now, she was supposed to have a match with Sasha Banks, but that would mean you would have to have a minority female on the show. We can't have that. So Sasha Banks, storyline-wise, is finishing up her rap album. Now, even in real life, if she's finishing up her rap album, Vince McMahon could have easily said, we need you for Friday night. You can easily remove or move your time slots for anything else. WWE, obviously, contractually, comes first. But Vince doesn't give a crap. This is just another way to make Lacey Evans look strong. So Bayley ends up appearing on the Tron, and she tells Lacey that Sasha Banks is she's in LA filming her rap album. And Lacey Evans is like, all right, well, I'm here to fight, so why don't you come down and put your title on the line? And Bayley's like, I'm not one of your snot-nosed kids. You can't tell me what to do. So Lacey Evans is like, all right, then I'll come to you. So Bayley sets Lacey up. Lacey's coming to the back to find Bayley. Bayley jumps her from behind and takes her out. This is beautiful. And after Bayley is finished taking her out, literally some devastating headshots into the doorway, really good, she picks up Lacey's dome piece and says, now put on your mom jeans and go home. I loved it. And then she goes to walk off. Lacey ends up no-selling it and ends up taking out Bayley to the point where referees had to back up Lacey, not Bayley. So even after the beatdown, how the hell, storyline-wise, are you going to have her no-sell that? You can't even just blame Lacey. That's how the booking of that segment went. You're going to beat down Lacey a little, and then she's going to jump up and take you out. That's horrible from the suit and ties. The people that thought that that segment was the way to go. You should have ended it with your heel doing the dastardly setup deed and then delivering that line, put on your mom jeans and go home, and have her walk off and Lacey's down and out. Instead, you can't have a week go by that Lacey isn't looking strong. Just a few weeks ago, do you guys remember? Bayley was in there with Sasha, the supposed devastating duo, this new heel duo, Bayley and Sasha, in there with just little old Lacey. Lacey right hooked Sasha, knocked her out. Bayley didn't do anything, and Lacey just walks off like a badass. Who's the heel and who's the face? I mean, it was just the lengths that Vince McMahon will go to protect some of these individuals is just mind-boggling to me. It should have ended with Bayley doing the setup attack with that line. But forbid we see Lacey Evans looking weak. Backstage, Daniel Bryan is telling Kayla Braxton that the Fiend has changed him, but for the better. And the Fiend can be hurt, and he can be beat. Ramblin' Rabbit then appears on the Tron. Ramblin' Rabbit is in the funhouse, and Ramblin' tells Bryan that he's his biggest fan. Remember Ramblin' Rabbit used to tell Seth Rollins that too? That didn't work out so well for Ramblin' Rabbit. But he's back to life, so we're all happy to see Ramblin', right? He's back, he's got a 10th life. And he tells Bryan now that he's his biggest fan, and he tells Bryan that he has the secret on how to beat the Fiend. But before he can spill the beans, Bray Wyatt appears out of nowhere, and he grabs Ramblin' Rabbit by the thrizzle, and he starts squeezing. And Ramblin' Rabbit, unfortunately, can't get out that secret to Daniel Bryan. Instead, Bray Wyatt looks right at the camera as if he's staring right at Daniel Bryan, and he says, "Snitches get stitches." So I like that. A couple of segments later, Daniel Bryan is backstage and he receives a package, literally, with like some wrapping, a nice little bow, and inside that package, when he opens it up, is a beaten down Ramblin' Rabbit. So again, let's have a moment of silence for the 10th time for Ramblin' Rabbit, first of all. Thank you, guys. Ramblin' Rabbit, man, he keeps coming back. He keeps putting up the good fight. Bray Wyatt keeps putting him down. But yeah, I like that. He opens up the package, and in Ramblin' Rabbit, literally, his dome piece is all busted, and Bryan's like, so I like that. You're protecting, and you're not overexposing the Fiend character, but at the same time, you're still showing the lengths that he'll go to. You're still showing the capability of what the Fiend stands for and the trickery that he does. So I like that. The character is still progressing, even though he's not being overexposed. That's hard to do, but in this situation, I think they did it correctly. Up next is Braun Strowman. He takes on Shinsuke Nakamura. A lot of back and forth in this match, and in the end, even with help and distractions from Sami Zayn and Cesaro, Nakamura is still not able to beat Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman lifts him up in a power slam, plants him, and even with Cesaro and Sami Zayn's help, Nakamura, your champion, gets defeated by Braun Strowman. I love how WWE utilizes their champions. I tell you, if it is a mid-card championship, prepare to lose. I tell you, they just have Bayley in there at Survivor Series just tapping out to Shayna. You just have Nakamura losing every other week with that championship strap. The United States Championship means absolutely nothing for years, it seems like. You're just seeing champions lose all the freaking time. Maybe Brock Lesnar and Becky Lynch not defending their championships, maybe that is the only way that they don't lose a match. Maybe that is the best thing for them. Not for the fans, but maybe for them. Nakamura just looks like an absolute joke. And I asked the question, I begged the question. I already know the answer. It's rhetorical, but I ask you anyway. How is this going to be when Nakamura actually loses the championship and loses that match? It's not going to have any significance because nobody's going to care. We've already seen the guy lose. And it looks like it's going to be Braun that's going to take the title from him. But we've already seen Braun defeat him. So where's the intrigue, the suspense, the fun, any type of care going to be when Braun Strowman does take the title? Or anybody. It's not going to be there because we've already seen Nakamura lose a million times. Champion? What champion? Next up was the main event. This is Usos returning in a wrestling capacity. They took on Corbin and Ziggler. Now, before the match, we had to have Roman Reigns in there to set up a Royal Rumble match with Corbin. So you have to make sure that you're double utilizing Roman at Royal Rumble. You don't want him just to be one of 30. So Roman's not only going to be in the Rumble, but he's also going to have a match with Corbin at the Rumble. Well, if that's the case, why can't Brock be in the Rumble and Brock also have to defend his championship? It's been months since Brock defended his championship. Why not have him defend it? And he also can do what he needs to do in the Rumble if that's what he so chooses. But no, Roman Reigns will get the double match. After we set up that stupid match for Royal Rumble, then we go into the Usos taking on Corbin and Ziggler. Corbin and Ziggler end up winning this thing via DQ after Roman spears Corbin on the outside. Post-match, Robert Roode returns from his suspension. That's right. It's already been 30 days. That kind of went fast. But Robert Roode is back from his suspension. Or maybe if it wasn't 30 days, maybe he just won his appeal. Maybe he appealed it and he was able to persuade the powers that be that he didn't do anything wrong. But either way, he originally was suspended for violating the wellness policy. But he's back. And again, maybe it was 30 days and time just flew. I don't know. I lose track of time sometimes. Either way, Robert Roode returned, and it was just Robert Roode, Dolph Ziggler, and Corbin taking out Roman Reigns. And that's exactly how we ended the show. They ended up tipping over the announce table on Roman. At one point, Roode was supposed to kind of like, what was it? Almost like a spine buster, I think it was. Was supposed to put, yeah, it was. It was a Roode spine buster. Was supposed to put Roman through the table, but the table didn't break, so they had to hold Roman up there, and Dolph did a elbow drop. The table then ended up breaking. Then they flipped over the broadcast table, put some chairs on there as well, and they ended the show with Roman being buried storyline-wise. When in reality, we know Roman is about to have that rocket strapped to him like never before. Yay! It's 2017, 2018, 2019, all over again. Or maybe not 2019. They tried to reel him back to get that sympathy from the crowd, and I think it worked. A lot more people are on board with Roman now, but wait until he's thrusted back in that spot that he was in 2017 and 2018. Trust me, fans are going to be like, whoa, we were on board. We didn't mean main event. We didn't mean, like, the top dog again. We didn't mean doing that with Roman. Nobody needs to see that. Maybe as diehard fans, I understand that, but a lot of us are like, dude, we're just repeating 2016, 17, and 18 now. We're just going to see Roman, defeating The Fiend and taking the championship. Just like in years past when Roman was standing tall at the end of WrestleMania and half the audience was like, dude, seriously, this does nothing for us. So why not in 2020 do the same shit? And that was the ending of SmackDown, and that was all of SmackDown. I can't say that anything in this show is memorable. I really can't. Maybe Ramblin' Rabbit was like the highlight of the show. I mean, the one thing I was looking forward to was Sasha Banks actually competing in a one-on-one match that was at least advertised beforehand. A little bit of suspense behind it. And that match didn't even happen. So, I don't know, guys. Usos returned into what? What did they return to? They lost via DQ last night, didn't they? Could have sworn that was the ending. At least they didn't win, I know that. They didn't look strong, they didn't look dominant, and the Usos are back for what? Just to be Roman Reigns' henchmen, just to be the pawns in his game, just to advance Roman Reigns' storyline. That's all the Usos were brought back for. And that's shown, man. So I have a lot of concerns right now. The women's division should have been something epic right now in WWE, and it's absolutely just horrendous. You have a champion over on Raw that never defends the championship. It's basically the female version of Brock Lesnar, only difference is she shows up a little more. On the SmackDown side, all you have as a focal point is the blondes. Even the champion Bayley, it's just a placement holder, right? It's just like a consolation prize. We'll give you the championship, but it actually doesn't mean anything over on SmackDown. The real focus is going to be on my blondes. That's what Vince is saying. So I have so many concerns with this company that goes beyond even just not entertaining us. Now I have real internal concerns, like concerns that go even deeper. Anyway, this show didn't really do anything for me. I'm not saying it was horrendous, but I was really looking forward to a good show. I did not get that at all. That's that. We'll go on to Monday Night Raw now. And of course, I'll see you Tuesday morning for the Raw review and reaction. And we're hoping with 3 hours of Raw that we can get something freaking good to talk about. We'll find out on Tuesday. Or I'm just going to drag it through the mud just like I did this SmackDown for the most part. No more mulligans in 2020. You're either producing good shows or I'm going to drag you through the mud. I'm not fucking around anymore in 2020. We're going to hold this company up to a whole nother level that has never been held up to before. And if they can't deliver, then that's what's going to happen. We're going to get amplified. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. Kick some ass. Drink that coffee. Kill it like always. And you guys know what to do, man. This Sunday night, root for the home team. Root for my Green Bay Packers, please. Unless you guys are diehard fans of another NFL team that is in the tournament, then I totally understand. Go for your team, and I wish you guys nothing but the mediocrest of luck. The best of luck has to go to my Packers, though. You guys know that. But honestly, guys, if your team is still in the tournament, hopefully you guys enjoy the weekend. I know it's exciting, but it's also nerve-wracking for me already, and we're still 24 hours away from the game. But tomorrow night, man, I'm going to be pacing back and forth with multiple coffees in my hand. Just getting all amped up. Every play I'm going to be yelling at the TV, yelling at the referees. This is what usually happens in the playoffs with my Packers. So anyway, enjoy the game. Enjoy all of the playoffs this weekend or just anything that you guys are doing. And I'll see you Tuesday morning. For now, whoop that ass. Yow! Amplified style. Check you later.